Hello, and welcome back to the PatricksGreenTea podcast. I mentioned hearing owls outside of my room, and I didn't remember what species they were at the time, but I believe they were barred owls. I actually had to look up the sounds and try to compare it to what I remember hearing, and that was the closest one. They sound so cool in the dark of night, especially, and it's just really weird. They have this haunting, sort of reverberant sound. Also, while I did get political this episode, I decided against calling it Patrick Goes Political. Politics is definitely an afterthought of this podcast and most of my creative work, actually. Plus, I thought I would be a sellout if I resorted to clickbait titles like that, though I'm not against titles that attract some attention. I might be overthinking this one, but hey, this is the Halloween episode for this season, and I like the Halloweenie label I came up with for people who are really into the holiday, you know? That's it, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello. This is... You know what it is. You know what it is. It's the Patrick's. No. The Patrick's Green Tea Podcast. How's that for an intro? Freaking schizophrenic. Freaking all over the place. Freaking. But it was good. Reflects how I'm feeling, you know? I think I'm good. I was paranoid for a bit because I'm just thinking about bears right now because there was one sighted in this area like a week ago. But what's interesting is the noise, first of all. Second of all, like the noise as in like my crunchy feet. If you can even hear that, you probably can. I have not recorded a podcast in over a month. Like a month and a week or something like that. So it's been a while. Everything's so yellow here. I expected more like reds and oranges, but it's just like green and green yellow, or yellow green, I guess. A little bit of like a yellow orange, but more yellow than orange, you know. The leaves are all super orange, like the typical dead leaf color, mixed in with yellows and stuff. And they're just like all over the place on the ground. It's like completely covered in dead leaves. But they're not crunchy. They're kind of soggy, and you know, this would sound just not even workable if they were dry. I think it's been raining. So last month, a lot happened. I've been hearing owls outside of my bedroom recently. One time I really heard them. Like it was at 3 a.m. or something. I couldn't like fall asleep. And I just heard the sound of like the or whatever they do. Or it was like had this weird like drop off at the end. I think I looked it up. I think I forgot what kind of owl it was. I looked up like owl noises northeast or something. And I found this thing, and it definitely was it. Maybe when I listen back to this podcast, I'll mention it in the prologue. There's some homework for you, boy. Anyway, the podcast has been good. I've been releasing it pretty consistently, which is cool. Once a week is normal. This week might be late because, or I might take a week off or something because like kind of cutting it close. I have so many things to do the end of this week. Good things. Like I'm going to Sleepy Hollow with my girlfriend to just visit because I'm considering living somewhere around there, like Tarrytown, White Plains, maybe even Nyack. But I feel like the bridge is going to be such a hassle with traffic and tolls that it's not going to be worth living there for the cheaper rent or whatever. But White Plains is nice because there's a lot more forest as far as I can tell. I don't know about Nyack. I know SUNY Purchase is just covered, or not covered, it's surrounded in forests, which is dope. So yeah, I've been working on a documentary. A bunch of these guys are from SUNY Purchase, and they're music majors / I think one of them is like astrophysics and one other thing that I can't remember. Something like not music, but like so... I don't know, like astrophysics kind of like, you can see how the interests would combine, like the desire for this weird, like, you know, physics is just like crazy
kind of mode of thought. You're breaking the world down in such a strange way. Like, even just for me, when I learned calculus, just thinking of taking the area under a graph and like how it's done and why it makes sense, like, that's just it's weird, but it's like it's completely applicable to, you know, any sort of engineering where you need to know like the area inside of a satellite dish for whatever reason. I don't know. But yeah, I met a guy who was in the first episode of this podcast, Nick. He was a math PhD student because he loved it so much. And he was a huge Deadhead also. But the documentary I'm working on has 2 scenes shot now. I was trying to get like 3 scenes done in one day, but things were so far behind on Saturday when I filmed it that we ended up just getting one thing before like call time. Call time meeting, like wrap. Like when we finished, I had to start packing up. I had my classmate there for the first time, and he was a super good help. I'm wondering because I set up those lights really quickly the first night. Actually, did I? It took like an hour to get them all set up and stuff. But I felt like it was good because he was so detail oriented, and he asked me questions about these like really seemingly benign things, or not benign, seemingly like unimportant things. That I was like, oh wait, maybe it would be better for me to have control over this, like the placement of the light in the background, because we had the Dan, who's probably going to be on this podcast relatively soon. He had this light rig in his. First of all, his room is like amazing. It has all these posters and memorabilia and weird, just like oddities, like a weird picture, like a picture of his mom when she was 4, but she looks exactly like him. Things like that. But not all stuff like that, you know. It's like mostly dead. But mainly the thing is that he has all these lights. And when I first went there, it just like struck me, the blue and purple. That's such a cool combination. Because purple, like you would see at a concert, you know. And it's just, I wanted to replicate that vibe that the Grateful Dead concerts really are. Or not even just Grateful Dead, but like all these bands. When they start with purple, it seems like you should prepare for these like intense jams, you know? Like really heady and all that stuff. There's a bird chirping really loudly. They're talking to each other. Oh man, I'm gonna be quiet for like a few seconds. It's kind of crazy, the sound right now. Well, the car's gonna ruin it, of course, but you can hear everything communicating with itself. Not itself. I guess if you think of the woods as one entity, it's communicating with itself, but it's basically like these different animals in different areas, different kind of animals just talking to each other. And this is like weird matrix. I think I either talked about it on this podcast or I felt it for sure and talked about it with a friend. But at night, when all the insects are out and you just listen to this high-pitched, high-frequency chatter, it's so bizarre. I keep hearing noises. Like, sounds like really muffled talking. I don't know. Anyway, the documentary is going well. 2 scenes are filmed. I'm going to be recording their Halloween show because this band has a concert going on, which is so the first time they really assembled, not every single member, but like the band basically with its like I'd say like 60% of the people who make up the band. They were all there Hang on. I almost forgot about the story, but I remember now. They were performing at this show at the Student Center at SUNY Purchase. And it was like, so Dan always wanted to do a Night of the Living Dead show. Like just the zombie Halloweeny theme. Halloweeny. I'm going to call everyone who loves Halloween so much, I'm going to call them Halloweenies. Because that's what they are, but it's good. Because I like Halloween too. So I think it's a fun little silly thing to do. But anyway, he really liked that, the idea of mixing the dead with like that theme. And they had that night. Supposedly it went really well. They had a second night with the full, I guess, lineup of the band. And afterwards, they're doing a year later on Halloween, which they haven't done before. Because it's on a Saturday. They're doing a show outside, I'm pretty sure. And that's going to be really cool. Like, I've never shot a concert before. I've only attended. But I would love to just, like, you know, it seems like so fun, you know, kind of like what Jay Blakesberg does, just taking really cool shots. Like, even I could just, like, take really, like, 4K stills, you know, and give it to the band and be like, here's some cool shit that you guys did, you know, and they could frame it or they could post it or whatever. So, like, being a director / producer, you run into a lot of, like, ethical, I was going to say ethical dilemmas, but not really that. Just, like, ethical choices you have to make. And, like, you do things coming off, like, in your own mind as rude, you know? It's like to ask someone to sign a release. But it's good in the long run for you and, like as a director and all these people involved with the production of this thing, if the one person's like allows you to film and then like retracts that later on, the whole thing is fucked potentially, especially if it's like the main person. But from what I've heard, I've been at a lot of documentary workshops from school, through my school, I should say, because they gave me links. And I saw a lot of the argument that, like, when someone asks you to not include them or this particular footage in the film, like, should you release it anyway and put it in the film anyway? And most of them and most of the people answering the Q&A agreed that they would not put it in their film, and that in the end these directors never did, out of respect for the subject. And I think I had the inclination to say to put it in anyway, but I forgot that in doc, when you work with someone for so long, you develop this relationship that's like a bond, there's trust there, and it's two ways. And you know, it is kind of like it would be on you to slight that person back for doing nothing wrong, you know, and just like trying to, I don't know. Mainly it's because they think, so like she showed us footage that she shot of this guy. So I guess she already broke that pact by showing it to these random strangers on the internet. But she showed us, and then she like, to show his power, and she asked us if we thought it should go in the film, because she told us after we watched it that he didn't want it in the film. It was just amazing footage. Like, we were thinking, like, oh my God, I hope this was the opening of the film, because it was this guy talking about his experience being arrested when he was young. It was like this documentary on inner city Chicago, and how there were these people called the No, wait, no, this is totally different. It was not Chicago. It was like I'm mixing up two different films. It was some inner city, and I was thinking of The Interrupters on PBS, but that wasn't it. She was doing something on, like, public defenders, I think they're called. The people who try to defend accused murderers and things. And they're seen as, like, the most lowly, they're seen in such low regard by the public and the general, zeitgeist, I guess. And it was really good footage. He was crying about, like I said, his experiences getting arrested, and how he knows that's scary. That's like traumatic and scary. He was crying while he was saying it, and like all these young kids just like, I forgot what he said. Either way, it was good. Like something about like basically appealing to these people who were accused but didn't do whatever they were accused of doing, because it was this like very, I'm going to sound pretty far left on this one, so my right-leaning viewers, shield your ears. The freaking systemic, disproportionate treatment of African Americans versus, or any black people, even outside of African Americans, like just because of the color of their skin. That's the only factor that ties all those people together in terms of like what makes them more likely to be arrested, and it's so disproportionate that it's obvious. But anyway, I don't usually get political on the podcast. I don't usually like feel, because the whole movement this year to, I shouldn't go into politics. It's okay. That's okay. It wasn't going to be anything like polarizing, but I don't know. Oh, okay. You know what I'll say? I'll say what I was going to say. It was that I've had mixed feelings about the way that George Floyd's death has been handled, and Breonna Taylor and everything like that, in terms of the looting and everything like that. Like some of these protesters, I saw All Gas No Brakes, who he has an amazing channel on YouTube, and he just does these documentaries on these like wild groups of people. So he did both the Proud Boys rally and an Antifa protest, and these people were like, this couple was dancing in the street naked because they thought of it as some like art project or like art demonstration. What's it called? Performance art. That's the term. Yeah, and they were just naked and dancing. It was like, oh, we're just here because we feel so free. It wasn't even like that. It was just because they thought like they wanted to be part of this thing, and like, like the Los Angeles mayor said, or the Portland mayor, who said that maybe this is their summer of love, in terms of like how iconic it will become to future generations. Which is kind of like Joe Rogan makes fun of that a lot, and rightfully so. There's no comparison really, except for like anti-authority, but that's like it. Like, I don't know. In terms of like the amount of culture that, like, there's not real music that came out of. There's like activist music, but there was no like genre that came out of any of this, or like genre of living or anything like that. I like the 60s. No one shits on my 60s or tries to compare themselves to it without merit. See, like all that, I have differing opinions on the frickin' topic at hand. My parents listen to Fox News all the time, so I end up being subjected to their arguments, like the newscasters' arguments constantly. And I hear where they're coming from, But it's like all like in your face and kind of like performative on their end too. But I hear where they're coming from, like in terms of the substance, and I can see why it would hook onto people, especially people who are just like trying to have a stable life for them and their children. They don't want a revolution. So when they see looting and things, and they see like a breakdown of society, it's scary. So apparently New York is completely different now. I mean, I don't know how much of that is true and how much is just Fox News stuff that my dad's been hearing, but because New York wasn't always great, it wasn't always pretty, but apparently they just smashed up Fifth Avenue. They being anonymous, masked, just looters, not even just trying to tear it all down. And I guess that is the philosophy of the far left, just to tear something down and rebuild it. But like I said, a lot of these people are LARPers, so they're not even serious, or they're just opportunists. And it's weird because I haven't heard any. I don't usually listen to MSNBC at all, but I was hearing some arguments and just they're painting the looters in such favorable light and saying that it was all peaceful, and it's just that's not true either. I'm kicking the rocks around and it's probably interfering with the audio. My bad. I had a water bottle in my bag that was a water bottle from the last time I saw Dan, but it tastes really funky right now. It's like basic, how something's acidic. This is basic, but it's not soapy. It's like someone got sage on it or something. It smells really strongly of sage or something like that. Not spicy, but not, that kind of weird, twisty sensation. I don't know. Let's check the time here. I was aiming for 20 minutes today, and it's been 21. Cool. Wow, Patrick goes political. That should be the title for this one. I think. No, I think that'd be funny. That'd be an attention grabber, but I really try not to be political. I try not to take hard stances because I see all these arguments every which way, and I'm swayed to at least some degree by most of it. Not convinced, but definitely swayed. And it's hard because I in college I just inundated myself with people like Ben Shapiro and a little bit of Steve Crowder just so I can get the other side, because NYU was so liberal, whereas my high school was so diverse. So I wanted to get an equal opposite force pushing back against it. And now I don't get as much, I'm not as responsible for my opinions as I was back then, where I wasn't really responsible for it, but I felt if I had to answer for it, the stakes were high if my opinion was wrong, or not well thought out. Because I could say oh, I don't really believe, I don't know, something immigration, and then people could hate me potentially, or I have some opinions that are just very right wing. Only some. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what they are. It's nothing that I think would be immoral. It's things that are inanimate, rights that are inanimate. It doesn't hurt or harm people directly. It's some I don't know. Shout out to Bolivia for the socialists winning the election after being deposed by the United States government. Or not directly, but deposed by a coup that was funded by the government of the United States. That's pretty wild, that history. Anyway, Bolivia is kind of in a rough spot right now. People on the comments are saying Trump couldn't even pull off a coup, and that's a rite of passage for the past 20 years of presidents. It's kind of funny, but who knows? And maybe you spoke too early. He could still do it. I hope they don't get a coup, because that would be so fucking. It feels like it should be an outdated thing, but I feel everything's still going business as usual in terms of war. It's just not reported on or thought about normally. It's because it's so far away. We're in so many wars, dude. I'm telling you, that's the name of this episode. Patrick was political. He goes, and he doesn't stop. That was a nice little walk. I didn't walk very far. I just kind of went and dipped into the woods and dipped back out. I have a lot of work ahead of me. Oh, I never said what's happening at the end of the week. Oh, yeah, I started and I went off the rails. I'm going to Sleepy Hollow. Maybe going to drink some sort of like October-y beer. Because I don't usually drink beer, but I feel like I want to explore it. Might as well, right, on a date night. But, we're going to walk around. We're going to go see the Atlas Obscura sites. Atlas Obscura is just awesome. I should have used that to determine where I wanted to go on my freaking adventures through Manhattan and Brooklyn. Someone did a video that compared the views on some issue, I forgot what it was, between Staten Island, Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, and Queens. I did it, guys. I named them all 5. So, I don't know. I want to watch it, but since I forgot what it was, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Also, my jacket, I got a new jacket from my girlfriend. She's pretty much the best, best you could ask for, not gonna lie. She's gonna apply patches to it that she got for me also. Grateful Dead stuff. There's a dancing bear. There's a 2 Grateful Dead, I guess, I don't know about insignias. Like, not. So there's the Steely logo, and then there's this. It's like a circle with the words Grateful Dead around it. There's a skeleton in the middle, I think. But I don't think it's like an official logo of theirs. But it's that kind of, like, you can tell it's kind of iconic in a literal sense because it is an icon. So, also I'm recording with first of all, I'm recording into my phone because I forgot my headphone adapter. Second of all, it's a new app where I have more control over gain and things like that. Sample rate, everything that a man could need, or a woman, of course. Oh, dude, Highwomen. So it's the word Highwomen, but like all one word, is an awesome song. The group, I've listened to one other song of theirs, which is okay, but the song Highwomen is so good. It's like the song Highwaymen with Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson and Waylon Jennings and one other guy that I can't remember. They did a song. It was like all these country. It was like they called it a super group because it was all these country superstars, and they did a song called The Highwaymen, and each of them had a verse where they talked about being this character of some blue collar worker doing something, and then Johnny Cash, the last verse, he's talking about being a spaceman, and he says, "I fly a starship." That's what he does. And all of them are dead in the song, which is so strange. And they talk about how they're going to do these rides again and again and again and again. And it's kind of like this weird incarnation story at the end of the day. It's very interesting. But the Highwomen, which is kind of a tongue twister, hard to say word that they should have picked something else. But it was so good. I listened to it like 5 times in one day. Listened to it twice today. It's just so good. Probably gonna listen to it again. I teared up when I was listening to it the first time. Just the way I tear up to sounds for some reason. like the way a voice sounds, or guitar with a voice, or whatever. The ambience of something complementing this like really beautiful note and tone. But so I teared up, but I wouldn't say I cried. But that's a pretty high praise from Hi Patrick. That should be a pin or something. What's it? Patch. High praise from Hi Patrick. With a little marijuana leaf in the middle. It's like the first line is high praise, is like a little, yellow orange bubble letters, and they make like a sort of little arc, like an eyebrow, and then there's an inverted arc for the other half of the phrase to the bottom right, and a marijuana leaf in the middle. White and green, or some sort of contrasting color in green. So I'm kind of going the wrong way right now. In addition to, I'm never going to get past this. In addition to Sleepy Hollow this week, I'm going to an Almond Betts show in Connecticut, in like a farm. I've been to the farm before to see Bill Burr, and my girlfriend did not like that. So it was like, it wasn't the best time. Because like first of all, he didn't seem as funny as I remembered him. I mean, I laughed a few times, but with her not like enjoying it, it was hard for me to like enjoy it 100%. Not saying that there's anything wrong with her not enjoying it, but you know what I'm saying. The people you go with to things really change how you view that thing. Doing that, and I'm also shooting again. Dan's having a few other people, I don't really know who they are. This dude Elijah, who I don't know what his role is, and two other guys. Pretty cool. I don't know really, I had to choose one guy to interview because I only have room for one more as per my school's safety guidelines. But it's tricky. Tricky. All right, I think I'm gonna go before I overstay my welcome in podcast world. All right. Thanks for listening. Have a lovely day, as I say later, but I'm going to say again. Thanks for being with me. You guys always make the highs less anxious and more fun. So, appreciate you as always. Goodbye.
Hello. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find me at PatricksGreenTea on Patreon, Discord, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, and Bandcamp, Patrick's Green Tea Podcast on Instagram, and Patrick Green Tea without an S on Twitter. The show is available wherever you get your podcasts. Supplemental materials like photos and text are available on our website, PatricksGreenTea.com. You can join our subreddit at r/PatricksGreenTea. You can make comments on YouTube and on the website, and you can contact me directly at patricksgreentea@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave a review of the show on your favorite podcasting platform. It really helps us out. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.